So no Thermomix to focus on?
No, because all the cooking's been done in the Thermomix, so I've just got the bowl and we are ready to rock and roll. So hi everyone, my name is Colette Matriga. I'm a Thermomix consultant here in Australia, and I have customers in all states and territories. Now please remember, we have the best offer on at the moment, so please don't miss out. It finishes at midday Australia Western Standard Time on Tuesday, which is the 31st. So basically, if you get a Thermomix, you're going to get a bowl for $29, an extra bowl, blade and lid. So you're saving a substantial amount of money. Plus our TM5 grader to get the TM6 is still on offer. Plus we've got 36 months interest free. So you can get a Thermomix in your kitchen and start saving and eating healthier for only $18.84 a week. Now, a few weeks ago I did, which I've made many times, the beautiful Portuguese water bread. Portuguese water bread. And you'll find the recipe if you search, take all your filters off when you're searching, and you'll find that recipe on Cookie-Doo. It's a super simple recipe, but the problem is it has a high hydration rate. So high hydration, and this is typical in sourdoughs, what it means is that you end up with a really sticky dough, and for many people it just ends up being an almighty mess. So far I haven't had that problem. Let's hope tonight's not the first problem, the first time it happens to me. So about 2.5 hours ago I started making, about 2.5 hours ago I started making this recipe. And the first step is you put the flour and the water in and you basically hydrate it. Now make sure whenever you're making bread that you're using filtered water. You know, tap water can be fine, but a lot of tap water now contains chlorine and things like that, and it's not the best for making your bread, especially with things like sourdough. It can actually have a real negative impact on growing your actual dough. So, and don't forget, if you are relying on tap water, just pop some in a container and leave it at room temperature for a few hours, and that chlorine or whatever will actually...
Fluoride.
Yeah, dissipate.
Not chlorine.
So, I think it's chlorine actually. But anyhow,
Fluoride.
it depends on the areas.
Fluoride. Don't put chlorine in water.
I don't know what
You put chlorine in the swimming pool, don't you,
Okay.
what you drink?
Okay, let's see.
Fluoride.
Okay, so I let that basically soak in to the flour. So basically hydrates the flour and starts that gluten process. So that's the first step. Once that's done, then you add your yeast and your salt. Very simple recipe, and then you use the Thermomix to mix it up for 6 minutes on the dough function. Love that feature of the Thermomix. Basically, for every minute that it's mixing dough function, it's the equivalent of you standing there and kneading for 10 minutes. Let me tell you, when you get to my age, the old wrists aren't as strong.
Is that true? 1 minute equals 10 minutes?
Yeah, it's really cool. So I should have actually got to this probably about 10 minutes ago. It's kind of really ready.
It's trying to escape. Look at it.
So, yeah, my lid is a little bit stuck. I'm going to try and ease it off. So what I do, yeah, it has actually stuck, but that's okay. Not the end of the world.
Looks like something out of Ghostbusters.
Yeah. So, and then you basically leave the dough in the bowl for about 2 hours. But I always recommend you check on it at about 1.5 hours time, because then you'll get to see whether it is actually getting to this stage. It's basically really puffy, which we don't want. Just check that. That's going to be fine. Right, so how the hell do you get this out of the bowl? First question. Now, very sticky. Yep, very, very sticky. So what I recommend you do, now I like to use my kitchen bench. I tend not to use my thermomat for this because I always go over my thermomat. So I'm just going to tip this upside down. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to undo my bowl and I'm going to get this out, pressing the blade down, using the actual dough scraper, and I'm going to get all of that out, including the blade. Okay. So I'm not touching this at all with my hands. Fabulous. Okay.
Oh, it's come out pretty well.
Yeah, that's all good. All right, so that's the first step. The dough is out.
Where's the blade?
The blade is in here. Now, what I don't want to do, I can feel the blade is just here, so it's easy for me to extract it. So I'm going to pick up the blade and basically get that dough out of the way. All right. And by the way, my oven is on at 230 degrees, ready to take this little baby once it's shaped. Okay, so there we go, all out, fantastic. So what we don't want to do is to treat this kind of disrespectfully. We want to keep in as much air as we can. And the way we actually do that, little tip which I forgot, normally what I would do is on the top, I would get a little sieve and I just sprinkle on a tiny bit of flour so when it's on the bench it's not going to be quite as sticky. What you don't want to do is put a load of flour down, although you do want some flour. You want to keep this hydration. If you're adding flour, you're actually going to make it more doughy and not as light. So what we use is we use water. So water is key when you're using these high hydration doughs. So I'm just going to wet my hands. Okay, shake that off. And I'm also going to get this in a second. But what I'm going to do is go underneath the dough. And you can see here I can handle this. I'm stretching it and I'm bringing it over about 3/4 of the way. And I'm just gently kind of making a little pocket there. All right, first step. My hands into the water, shaking them off. And I'm going to do the same down here, getting my hands in. And then I'm going to stretch the dough, bringing it up and bringing it over. Okay, and then just sealing that in. If I don't seal it in, as it cooks, the gas will start to escape. All right. Now I've got 2 more folds that I need to do.
What gas?
The gas in here with all this air. So stretching and over. Okay, and then just folding that in. So I've now trapped the air in from the sides. And I do exactly the same with the other. So in, stretching, and over. So now I've got a lovely little shape. Okay, that's great.
It sounds like yoga lessons. This is
So all nice and sorted. Now you can see I've got some little escape holes here. What I now need to do is to create a bit of a skin. I need to tighten up my ball. And the way I tend to do that is with my bench scraper. It's nice and solid. It's going to help me to move this around. So into the water. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this upside down. Okay? And I know there's a bit under. Just be confident and flip it over. And what I'm now going to do with my wet hands, or you can do it with your dough scraper, is you're going to bring it and actually keep that nice and rolled. Wet with my hands. Okay. You're actually going to try and create that lovely ball. I'm stretching. I just need to dry this off. It's just a little bit wet. Any comments so far from anybody? So I want a dry work surface here, and you can see so far I haven't needed to add in any extra flour. So I'm there, confident, move it back to the dry area, and then I'm going to take this and I'm going to move this down, okay? Give that a wipe. Put it up there. So with my hands, I'm moving it, and what's happening, you can see the skin is actually stretching a little bit, and that's what I want to do. I want to create this really nice kind of ball. So it's going to be nice and tall, and that's just about there now. So I think that is awesome, and I'm happy with that. That's all you need to do. My hands are sticking a bit. Back into the water, and that looks great. Okay, so that's all there is to it. So that now is ready for baking, and when this hits the hot oven, it's going to balloon up. It's going to be really big. Now, you've got a number of choices in terms of how you decide to actually cook this. You can preheat your cast iron pot, 230 degrees, for about half an hour. And then be very careful, obviously, use gloves, take your pot out. And what you'll do is you'll get some baking paper and you'll transfer this onto the baking paper. And then I suggest you just put a bit of semolina down on the baking paper.
What's a cast iron pot?
Like this guy here.
Okay, all right.
Yeah?
Are they available in the mix shop?
Yes, you know, we've got the Furo ones from the mix shop if you don't have them, which are just brilliant. So what I like to do, and then you just pop that in with the lid on. I like to open bake this one, so I'm just putting some semolina down on top of my baking tray. And then I'm going to pick up this little bad boy. This is a big loaf. It's got a lot of flour in it. I think it's about 700 grams, so it is a big, big loaf. And then all I'm going to do is back onto here. Okay.
Why do people always say bad boys? What about bad girls?
Sorry, boys that are bad, Andy. Right. Now, my oven has got a feature for bread making where I can add water and it will suck it up and then introduce it when I want it. If your oven doesn't have anything like that, put a tin in there. I'm just going to put this in the oven while it's still nice and hot. Excuse me, Andy. To stop this. Sorry guys, I'll put this in the oven once it's nice and taut. So I'm just programming my beautiful Miele, oven functions.
Is that going to suck water up?
Yeah.
It's like a straw.
And I want to go 230.
Never seen this done before.
Yeah, 230. And I want to do continue, and I want to do manual. I want to tell it when I want to add that water. Sucking up the water.
Isn't that clever?
It's a very clever oven. I love it.
Did it suck it all up?
Yeah, well, it sucked up exactly what I needed to. So this now can go straight in there. You can put flour on top if you want to. Actually, I usually do like to put flour on top. Sourdoughs, of course, I wouldn't do. Oh, I'm letting all this heat out of the oven, which is not a good thing. You want that spring. So I'm just going to put a little bit of flour on top, which will be lovely.
Why'd you put the flour on top? Why flour?
And I didn't score it. I am doing so bad. Sorry, guys. Me rushing. How many loaves of bread have I made? Oh, I don't know. So with a nice sharp knife or a lame, just straight down the middle, give it a really good score.
So why'd you put flour on?
Because I just like the look of it. You don't have to, you can just put water, so nice to score.
Oh, so just for aesthetics.
Yeah, just for aesthetics. So the reason you score it is to allow a place for the steam to come out and it's going to open up. And if you don't do that, what will happen is the gases inside will look around for a weak spot to get out. So remember last week, Andrew, I had that little growth on the side which you said you wanted. That was because I hadn't sealed a little part of that loaf and found that to get out. So you want to make sure you are actually trapping all the air down. But that loaf will actually, I'm just going to put a steam on now. It's done. So what it's done is just burst some water into there for me. Yeah, so you want to create that space for it to pop out. Now, if you don't have this beautiful fancy oven, what you can do is put a tin tray in there when you turn the oven on and let it heat up really hot. And the best thing to do is get a cup full of ice cubes, put your bread in, throw in the ice cubes and quickly shut the door. And that's going to create that steamy environment that's going to give you that beautiful crust. In my book, bread is all about that crust. I love a good crust on bread. And that's about it. So hopefully, you know, that will give you a bit of confidence to use that beautiful Portuguese bread recipe, which is just wonderful, that water bread. It is a sticky dough, but you can see no flour was introduced, and those few simple little folds. Remember keeping the air in when you're folding, trapping it down, and then just pulling it to tighten up the skins, and then into the oven after you scored it and floured it. Good, that's me done.
What's that little loaf over there for?
Oh yes, thank you, Andrew. God, you're good. I'm so glad to have you here. It's so good. So, I have finally, after so many attempts,
Is this mini meatloaf?
yeah, this is mini me. No, this is not a loaf.
Oh,
This is, smell it, Andrew, tell me what it is.
fruitcake.
Yeah, this is finally my latest little Christmas recipe. So take 6 or 7, I think. I wanted this year a lighter loaf, and I'm really happy how this has come out. So this is just the smaller version, and what I will be doing next week, you'll have all the details on Facebook. Oh, yeah. Lovely and moist, just beautiful. So full of nuts and fruits and brandy, and I'll tell you about steeping it. You don't need to pre-soak the fruit for this recipe. Oh, yum.
Any fruit peel in there?
No,
I can have some now.
very nice. So I'm going to steep that each week with brandy, and it's going to be delicious. I'm going to do a bigger one.
Do you normally put butter on those?
You can put butter on this by itself.
Butter
like
on them,
this.
be nice.
And then, as we head to Christmas, beautiful marzipan and fondant it, or if you don't want to do that, we can put almonds on top and a pretty ribbon. So you'll get full details out, you'll get a list of ingredients because I'm going to do it as a Facebook cook-along. So I'll put the details up in the next few days so you can go out and get your ingredients, all basic stuff, and then we'll do a Facebook cook-along. So just like an ordinary Facebook Live, but you can cook along with me as I make the cake. And that's it. So that's me for tonight. Have a beautiful end to your weekend. Don't forget, reach out. Don't miss this offer. Do not call me Tuesday afternoon. It'll be too late. Reach out now.
Which offer?
All the offers that we have on at the moment.
Are they all finished on Tuesday?
The 31st, yes. That's the 31st, I think. Oh, that's so good. Okay, that's me out. Have a beautiful evening, and I will see you next time. Bye for now. Say goodbye, Andrew.
Goodbye. Someone just asked, can you show what are these pans you mentioned?
Pans. Which ones?
Ones you mentioned.
What pans?
Pans you put the bread in.
Oh no, they're not. It's just a baking tray.
Oh, I thought you said you put it into one of those.
Oh. Yeah, so this is the one that I normally use for my bread making. It's the big Fira one from the mix shop. So you can do 2 loaves, 2 small loaves. You can do 1 big loaf. That's what I tend to cook it in. So preheat these. And the benefit of actually using these for your bread making is that you get an insanely beautiful crust. Absolutely gorgeous. So obviously great for your slow cooking or whatever else you want to use them for. But it's good. So you see the bread in there, and it's starting to get bigger now. It's going to be beautiful. Yeah, so those are the Fira cast iron in the mix shop. Really. Okay. Cool.
Say goodbye.
Bye everybody. Take care. Have a good evening.